Thanks to Peter Darrell's intercession, we have plenty of time for our third feature. I thought we'd be appropriate to bring in a real New York City poet, a total New York City poet, to bring it all back home and show us what's happening here in New York City. So please, you all know him. Please welcome to the stage the great poet, David Huberman.
I'm a little more nervous than usual because my sister called me this morning and she said, one house gone, one to go.
Wow.
So.
Two man enters, one man leaves.
Yeah. Okay, this is called Lonely Hearts, 2007. Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy, 1967. Redline, 2003, and Transcend, 2014. The Outer Space Connection, 1970. She, 1965. Looking for a Mr. Goodbar, 1977. A Man for All Seasons, 1966. On a Strange New World, 1975. If He's Dead and Buried, 1981. Atom Age Vampire, 1961. Who's Definitely Beyond the Living, 1985. That's a plus. But he has to have a Delcon 4 in 1985, if 1969, not an FX 1986, or a THX 1138 1976 would be acceptable. No, 2012, Bamboo Sauce in 1968, please. Also, no, 2012, G-Men 1935, Freaks 1932, or X-Men 2000, Who Get Scared to Death 1947. He Must Be Humongous 1982, Have Cardinal Knowledge 1971, and Do the Electric Boogie 1984. A Regular Starman 1984, Dissatisfy My Vortex 1983. If 1983, he is one of the Lords of Discipline 1983, who knows how to give the big chill 1984, to My Octopussy 1983, and Bang the Drum Slowly 1974. I'll take them on a 9.5 weeks 1986, through My Transatlantic Tunnel 1936, The Valley of Mystery 1964, On a Fantastic Voyage 1967, To the End of the Universe 1964. But to all the lady killers 1958, who come on like the Amazing Colossal Man 1958, and come like a silver bullet 1986, who can't feel the hunger 1983, and My Crack of the World 1956, Go to Hell 1999. So you better know how to live up to my flesh and fantasy 1946. So go, Johnny, go 1959. Rock, rock, rock 1956. Between Two Worlds 1944. Take Me to a Zabriskie Point 1967. And Never Let Me Go 1959. I wrote this piece about Thailand, and it has nothing to do with sex.
How did that happen?
And it's not fiction. But if you're eating, leave the room. It's called, and this is a non-fiction piece, Not That Type of Hotel. I know people must wonder why I like traveling Thailand so much. The land of smiles always makes me live in the present. I lose my past and my future. Adventure, that it always is. I'm not good with foreign languages, I'm dyslexic, and there's been some judgments made by certain people about my IQ level. But I've always had good people skills, intuition to get out of bad situations, and that zealot way of moving around. Now, there was a small episode a few years ago where I was a guest of a very well-to-do friend who put me up in one of his townhouses in a very ritzy part of Bangkok. Problem is, with wealthy people is, they get boring. Or maybe it's just crazy me not understanding sophisticated culture. Whatever the case, I decided I wanted to see an old girlfriend that I had not seen in 3 years. I got in touch with her, and she agreed to meet me for dinner. We met at the Nana Plaza, one of the red light districts of Bangkok. We stopped at some outdoor restaurant. Don't remember the name of the cafe, just the dish we ordered. Blue crabs and green curry with fried rice. The food was excellent. We looked at each other, and the next thing we knew, the sky was starting to get dark. It was getting late, so my old girlfriend decided to split back to her family home. I started walking around like I always do, mindlessly, when I realized I didn't have the address of where I was staying. Neither did I have my friend's cell number. All of a sudden, my stomach was very queasy. My whole body was feeling wacky. I struggled on, and in my zombie way, I found an internet cafe that was closed. I told the owner that I think I will be seeing the Buddha pretty soon. He was an older-time man in his 70s with a little white hair growth planted on the middle of his head. He explained to me in broken English that the cafe was his son's business. But he must have felt sorry for me because he let me in to use one of the computers. I've had my friend's email and looked out the window and emailed him. I will be staying at the White Orchid Hotel. As I got up to leave, the old man tried to block my way and yelled, "You go to a hospital, you're very sick. No, go to that hotel, very dangerous." I said, "Look, man, time is of the essence. I got food poisoning. If you don't get out of my way, you will have my ghost haunting your business." He moved at that and bellowed out, "You stupid man!" "No," I said, "the name is HUBERMAN." And I ran out on a tier right across the street to the White Orchid Inn. The woman clerk took one look at me and shouted out, "What doesn't bar? No need a passport. We make number for you. Lucky." The room was 205 or 206, it didn't matter. In the reception area, my skin's color resembled the Incredible Hulk. As soon as I opened the door, I threw up. And then I threw up again and again. And then I got the shakes, and then I got the shits, and I didn't make it to the toilet because I was still vomiting. I must have locked the door somehow because somebody was trying to break in. And I was pretty sure it wasn't management. It was that type of hotel. A place where unsuspecting tourists disappeared. This lodging house didn't ask for my passport. I knew it was bad, but I had other problems like not stopping from barfing. The situation was not good. I felt there was more than one person out my door. Gangbangers of Bangkok, meet Mr. Deadman. But I couldn't care less. I was a foundation of bad chemicals. I had not stopped from retching, and now in between vomiting, I would scream out, "Only shit and puke. Smell the perfume, boys. You're welcome to it." And then I passed out and woke up thinking that I heard the Thai word for departed. The banging had stopped. There was no more noise other than my heavy breathing. I finally got to the bathroom and threw my clothes on into the shower and let the cold water wash off the vomit and excrement that I had accumulated on myself. Somehow I crawled to some half-rotten mattress and passed out. As I was going out of consciousness, my good friend, a rat, jumped out of some wall. But I didn't care. I was going places. In the morning, my very wealthy benefactor located me. The hotel people said, "He in room 206. He corpse now." When my charitable supporter asked them, "Why didn't you people call for an ambulance?" They said, "We're not that type of hotel." Somehow he dragged me out of there, cleaned me up, and got me back to one of his townhouses with a private doctor to attend to my needs. And that's why I love Thailand. Just living in the moment. You never know where you could end up. Try to read this. I hope it's a little, I hope it's not too much. Do I have time?
Yeah.
Okay. Larissa Schmilo, she said to me one day, she says, Huberman, write a piece about terrorism. So I said, okay, I'll write a piece about terrorism. And then I sent it to Larissa, and Larissa wrote me back, very little she wrote back, a little envelope, and she said, this piece, if you send it out to a publication, will get published right away. She said, I'll bet you. And I was like, I didn't think that was possible. But I sent it out to the first publication, and it got published right away. So, maybe this is a really great piece, I don't know. I'll tell you something, I cannot pronounce the words in this piece. So, I wrote it, but I can't pronounce it. And so, dyslexic, so that's how this works. This is called Blockade, Day 1. And I have to read this a little slower. I came out of my sleep nice and slow. The HD TV cable electronic clock read 12:02. The sunshine was invading my apartment. Groggy still, ran into the bathroom, took a pee, threw some cold water on my face, and then I walked over to the window and cracked it open a little. Regretted it immediately. Freezing cold air shot onto me, closed it shut. Who needs the outside world anyway? Nothing but bad shit out there. Surveying the situation in my apartment, I went over to the section of my studio called Spider Mountain. Sometimes I think of myself, I think of it as a mini neighborhood among other communities that I design. I am a toy guy. One time my sister asked me, when did you give up on human beings and fall in love with inanimate objects? I had no answer at the time, but let me explain. I'm a collector. Some people call me a hoarder, but fuck them. I'm a collector. Toys! McDonald's giveaways, Matchbox cars, old lead soldiers, plastics, dinosaurs, action figures. Whatever I can dig up cheap at the flea markets and thrift stores, they make me happy. They're quiet. You don't have to worry about them like pets. You can abuse them, but who would? They're collector items, for God's sake. And you have total control. Maybe I'm not a toy god, but more like an artist by collecting them and finding unique spaces within my small studio and putting toy communities together. Now, Spider Mountain consisted of 60 or so Spider-Men in all the variants, with the mighty Marvel official seal marked on them. Well, there might be a Mexican or Asian knockoff among the bunch, but so what? Counterfeit trinkets bring class to the collection. And they're just as good to me as big corporation high-end toys are. The mythical spiders were presiding over a pile of old, out-of-print books, hard-to-find magazines. It resembled a little mountain, and since there were so many items spread over them, you really couldn't tell what the mountain consisted of, other than Spider-Man collectibles. Something wasn't right. It looked like somebody had deliberately smashed the figurines awry. This was wrong. My initial investigation was maybe it was the work of the Triblonium. But past documented incidents concerning the Triblonium indicated they might accidentally knock 1 or 2 figurines down, but not 20. No, water bugs are crafty creatures. They like to stay hidden. This was not their signature or style. My inquiry also showed no signs that this was made by a household tremor or avalanche. If this was a natural disaster, the toys would have been all over the floor, which wasn't the case. From what the evidence showed, this was a deliberate act. But why? Day 2. The next day it was still very cold outside, but the good news was that I had plenty of canned food to keep me indoors. Security, meaning myself, was checking on a glue trap and noticed that the roaches trapped on the corners were missing their bodies, while only their legs remained. No sign of their corpses. Even if a roach could tear itself out of the glue trap, it would need its legs to escape. And then there were the dead bugs in the middle part. They weren't touched. This was very bizarre. Later in the day, I made a grilled cheese sandwich with a creamy tomato soup. Everything was quiet, the way I like it. Nothing else to report. Day 3. Pretty boring, but boring is good. Day 4. Different day. Same shit. Day 5. I noticed there were no roaches in my bathroom or my kitchen, which usually has a lot of guerrilla activity. All of a sudden, I was bug-free. Day 6. All hell broke loose. Thunderdome was attacked. Thunderdome is a tin metal hockey game without the hockey players. I found it in the compactor room. It displays all my miscellaneous toys that don't really belong in the other neighborhoods. Thunderdome takes up the whole kitchen table. There before me was my plastic Ronald McDonald clown with his head almost chewed off. Small-scale lead soldiers were piled high in some sections. Other looks trampled on. Did an evil entity do this? It looked like a tornado came through. What's this? What's this? It looks like a small turd. A mouse turd. Day 7. So far, my food supplies are holding up. My pension check was just delivered to my apartment building today, so the morning's rent will be paid on time. Old Charlie, my postman, has to be at least 70 years old, if not more. He's the happiest human being I ever encountered. Rumor has it that he has been working for the U.S. Post Office for over 50 years. I always kid him, "When are you going to retire, Charlie?" He always replies, "Never." Gets me away from the wife. We both laugh at our private joke. I go back upstairs to my realm and check on all my neighborhoods. So far, nothing has been touched. I sit in my easy chair and dwell on the mouse turd. What could it mean? Could this be a sign of disaster? I must have dozed off, but a loud sound woke me up. I immediately turned right to where the bookshelves were. It is populated with my mechanical men and women, priceless metal machines, Astro Boy in the old 50s and 60s Japanese-made robots, others engraved in English, made in Hong Kong. All the American motorheads were represented too. Robbie the Robot, various Terminators, original Transformer replicas from the 70s, pint-sized androids based on the movie Blade Runner, different versions of Iron Man, even the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. It was a sound of hard plastic, iron, and steel crashing so loud like a thunderclap. The intense noise came from the section I nicknamed Heavy Metal Valley, my community of rare metal toys on the bookshelves near my bed. A live, leaping creature jumped down with that destruction right in front of me, just out of my bounds of my easy chair, among the ruins of my priceless mechanical men. Yellow eyes gleamed up at me. The shock stunned me. The nerve of this goring beast, for God's sake, it was way past noon. Daylight was flowing into my studio. The rodent's beady eyes seemed amused, if that is possible, and then that abomination shat on my downfall and broken Tin Man. At that foul act, I leaped out of my easy chair like a panther, but to no avail. It was gone, hidden, no doubt, among one of my many communities, displaying thousands of miniature and not-so-miniature toys, and made the perfect color for this vile, crafty terrorist. This monstrosity could be anywhere among my treasures. Day 8. 5 glue traps with peanut butter scent. 4 traditional mouse spring devices were spread all over my living quarters. This hideous pest will find that I mean business. After securing my apartment, I sat in my easy chair thinking that this affair would be over in a day or so. In hindsight, what a fool I was. Day 9. Not a peep. No out-of-place noises, no weird sounds, nothing. Did this disease-carrying creep leave me for someone else's apartment? Good! Let my neighbors have this curse! Day 10. I've been up 24 hours now. I think the bastard has moved on. Day 11. Finally knocked out, but I've always been a light sleeper. I heard one of the spring traps get sprung and immediately ran to where the trap was set, but there was no dead mouse. And then like clockwork, the other 3 devices went off one after another. This evil motherfucker had activated all 4 spring devices. I couldn't believe it. As for the glue traps, the rodent from hell left me his feces as a souvenir at the edge of some of the glue traps. Son of a bitch! Day 12. I now had 25 glue traps distributed all over my apartment. And once again, that disgusting freak had disappeared like the invisible man. Day 13. It was late afternoon. I was sitting on my bed watching television when the fiend came into my view. I jumped off my bed and tried to grab a hold of it, but the vile little demon was a lot faster than I was. Vanished! There was only so much a man like myself can take. I realized I was near my breaking point. Day 14. 40 different glue traps, and I still had not caught this ungodly villain. Finally, I realized I had to locate this obscene horror's lair. Day 15. Oh, Eureka, I found the mouse hole. Yes. Day 16. I actually attached 10 glue traps to each other so that it resembled the floor of goo. A blockade of death is waiting for this parasite. I even pasted glue traps on top of a hole in case it tried to climb upwards, if that is even feasible. Day 17. What a great day! We have caught this terrorist! This monster, this nasty, filthy virus. I have communicated to all my toy communities, and certain representatives have been elected to be witnesses to the death sentence of this gruesome devil. The decisive penalty of drowning has been chosen by yours truly, the magnificent royal king and judge. The almighty toilet bowl will be the site of where this execution takes place. Much celebrating by the various toy neighborhoods will commence after the fatal conviction is carried out. Let it be a fitting example to all other malignancies that their sabotage and their terrorism will not be tolerated by me or the various toy communities. They will be prosecuted and obliviated by the laws of our land. Thank you.
David HUBERMAN. Single best reason to reconsider rent control. One more time for David HUBERMAN, Sean Paley, James and Bells, all of you. Thank you all for coming today. On behalf of Greenwood Community, thank you all. See you next week. I'll ask you if you could please to move out to the bar where there's plenty of alcohol, and we'll keep this party going so the next show can go on. Thanks again.
I heard a bit of the. Who's that? Who's the guy? Who's this? Who's better than zero? You said you had an attachment. I wonder if this is it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, no wonder, because I can't speak as someone I've known for 30 years. I'm still here, man.
Wait, I want to see the guy from Suicide Squad.
Show David.
I want to see the guy from Suicide Squad. The guy that's left. He's playing a South Street sequence for free. So that's why I'm going to play.
I know since your sister's moving into the place, how